Hello everyone. Today's talk is about communication and communicating consciously, and for me this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I love talking about anything that has to do with relationship and communication, and it's also what's crazy is the one thing that we're not trained in school. Why is this not in our school system? I have no idea why. Maybe it's just we're training our kids on like, oh, you need to know all the numbers and all the this and that and the other so you can get a job and work and stuff like this. But it's like, to work, you need to have relationship skills to get along with people you work with. To have friends, you need to have communication skills to get along with your friends. You need communication skills in order to get through life. What I've been noticing so much is most people walk through life like, if something's uncomfortable, I hear this all the time, oh, I don't like conflict. And so they avoid conversations that might be seen as conflict. And so they actually end up giving up full-on friendships that they may have had for weeks, months, or years, decades even, because they can't have the hard conversation. But what I'm realizing is there is a breaking down of what the hard conversation is to make it much easier. And it's like we were taught this from the time we were like babies and beyond. It's like, it's not so hard. Like when I go to my friends now and go, oh, I need to have a conversation with you. They're not so like, oh, because the first time I did it, they were like, oh God, it's one of those. And then all I did was ask a few questions, told them a few facts, told them how I was feeling, told them, a few stories I was creating, and asked them if they were true, and owned my stuff. And next thing I know, like within 3 to 10 minutes, the conversation was over, and they were like, wow. So it's like, it's one of my favorite things to teach people is just like how to communicate well. And it's crazy that it's not in our school system. So I'm going to give you an example of something. Yesterday I went to dinner with a new girlfriend. Like, we don't hardly know each other. We've only hung out a few times. And I was at her house first, and she said something, and it's like, it wasn't clear, like, wow. It felt like she was judging somebody, or I misunderstood what she was saying. I got a little edgy. And she came back with edginess, and I just let it lie. I was just like, okay, I don't know what to say here. And so we walked on to the restaurant we were going to go to, and we ordered, and then I said, I'd really like to share something about myself. I have post-traumatic stress, and because of that, I sometimes hear things and I respond in a very edgy way. It's not how I used to respond. It's not how it's not how I normally am, but it's been happening recently, and I don't know how to stop it, and I haven't figured that out. So I thought I would just let you know that there's a side of me that gets edgy when I've either misunderstood or I think they've said a certain thing. And I said, so that's what happened. She just looked at me. She's like, wow, that's amazing. She's like, when you said whatever I said, she goes, I felt you were bullying me. I was like, bullying you? And then I realized when we talked about that, because English is her second language, me joking and me being sarcastic feels like her being bullied. And she flashed back to a time in her childhood where it happened a lot, and she didn't have the words to be able to handle it. And so, she learned to just go away and stuff like that. And so when I brought it up and she told me how she perceived my joke, we got to laugh and talk about it. And she's like, oh my God, this is exactly what I want in friendship. And I'm like, yeah, this is me too. Like, and it's like later on, like later on in the evening, I joked about something else, because I told her, I don't want to stop joking. I just rather you tell me when you perceive me as bullying you, so we can like nip it in the bud, or when I'm reactive, like either I can like course correct, or you can say, hey, you know, I just felt you being reactive, and then I can go, oh, okay, thank you. And then we can both learn. And so later on that, in the evening, I said something, and she's like, oh my gosh, I just took that as bullying. And it was just so funny, because I'm like, oh my God, what I just said, there is no absolute way I would have ever taken it the way she received it, because she explained it to me, and I'm like, oh my God, never in a million years would I ever think that about her. But we all have filters, and it's like when we know what's going, when we have some kind of consciousness, we can actually discuss it, we can talk about it, and then we can be real with each other to go, oh my God, I would never think this about you, and you know, or you know, I'm receiving it this way. Is this true? And it's like asking a question. Questions are vital when it comes to communication, because we're story, meaning making machines, and it's like, so that's just one example of like how you can handle situation. So if you really want to stay in connection with somebody, you can say, like, what did I do? I owned, like, this is part of me. I haven't figured out how to handle it and how to manage it. So, you know, I gave her one or two ways of being able to like, you know, ask me like, oh, did you mean to respond that way? Or I just felt you being reactive. Or I could take a pause and go, ooh, I just realized I was reactive. And so it's like, you know, we're taking care of each other, and in, you know, in the opposite way. Like, she can let me know when she's taking what I'm saying, my joke, as bullying, which is from her past, or I can see that she's had a different reaction, and then I can say, can I ask you like how you just took what I said, and then we can discuss it. And so it's just like we're working together as friends. We're working together as a team to go, hey, let's build this relationship so it works for both of us. So I don't have to hold back my humor, and you don't have to hold back, you know, what you're feeling and what you're thinking, and then I can possibly retrain myself to also react and respond differently. And it's all together a win-win. So I invite you to ask questions. I invite you to say to people like, wow, that didn't quite feel right. Did you mean that? Or I took it this way. Did you mean to say it in a way that, did you mean that? Because this is how I took it. And then all of a sudden it's like you're opening up a whole entire world of possibilities for connection. We are humans. We are built to connect. We're not built to only be on Facebook and Instagram and texting all day. We are meant to be connecting, and in connecting, we need to learn how to communicate. So I hope that supports you. Just summary, ask questions, be curious, share what you're feeling. A feeling is not a thought. A feeling is a feeling. I feel sad, I feel angry, I feel hurt, a feeling is not a judgment. I feel you did. When you start I feel and then you finish, the next sentence is you, it's not a feeling. I feel is something I feel. Okay. I hope that supported you. If you have any questions, please write them below. I would love to hear any feedback. I would love how, if you use any of this, how it supports you. Sending you big love. My name is Heather Ray Dunn. I am a relationship and intimacy coach, as well as an empowerment coach. Big hugs and love. Mwah.